our government, medicine, and educational systems. It's titled Pharma, Lobbying, and Corruption. When you hear Robert's voice, just don't be alarmed. It's a little shaky because of a condition he has called spasmodic dysphonia. It's a specific form of an involuntary movement disorder called dystonia that affects only the voice box. The condition is not life-threatening, but it is a life-changing chronic condition affecting the lives, it says, of 0.2% of our population. It's more prevalent in women than men for some unknown reason, and Western science says they don't know the cause and have few treatments available for this condition other than a Botox injection. It's something that comes upon a person gradually over time. The condition has huge consequences for the people that are inflicted with it, and over time it can lead to a loss of speech entirely. It's very rare, strikes between the ages of 20 to 15. I'd like to go ahead and listen in on this 2.5-minute video.
And those of you who have been involved in the past in the battle to protect our children from poorly made vaccines or toxic chemicals in our food or in our water know the power of these industries and how they've undermined every institution in our democracy that is supposed to protect little children from powerful, greedy corporations. Even the pharmaceutical companies have been able to purchase Congress. They're the largest lobbying entity in Washington, D.C. They have more lobbyists in Washington, D.C. than there are congressmen and senators combined. They give twice to Congress what the next largest lobbying entity is, which is oil and gas, and 4 times what defense and aerospace. So imagine the power that they exercise over both Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill. They've turned the regulatory agencies that are supposed to be protecting Americans, and particularly our children, from toxic exposure. They've captured them and turned them into sock puppets for their own industries. They've compromised the press. Any of you who watch evening news and see the pharmaceutical ads one after the other, that's a way of buying the news in this country. And they've undermined the medical establishment. They've cowed the scientists and defunded the ones who are trying to tell the truth, and they destroy the publications that publish real science. Many Americans these days, and particularly those with injured children, don't have the resources or the capacity to fight this battle on a daily basis the way that is required if we're going to win. But we're going to fight this battle for you. We're going to take it to the streets. We're going to take it to Congress. We're going to take it to the regulatory agencies. We're going to force the press to start covering this issue honestly for the first time and allowing this debate to take place. But above all, we're going to take it to the courtroom, and we're going to win these cases, and we're going to find justice for you, for your families, and for our country.
As the video plays out, a pop-up window shows these words. 54% of kids now have a chronic illness, including autism, ADHD, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, and more. Why are our kids so sick? Then a second window asks for your donation to help Robert F. Kennedy Jr. tackle the corruption behind the children's environmental illnesses. To demand answers and to get the justice for this generation. So in summarizing, Big Pharma is the largest lobbying organization in America. They have more lobbyists than all the congressmen and women and the U.S. Senate combined. They've literally bought both congressional bodies that make our laws and are supposed to be protecting us from this kind of greed and corruption. They pay out over twice what the next largest lobbying group does, which is oil and gas. Their money has turned our regulatory agencies into their sock puppets, if you will, of their desires to keep vital truths about causes of sickness and disease from coming forward. They've compromised the press. Their advertising dominates the nightly news of ABC, NBC, and CBS. They've undermined the medical establishment, cowed the scientists, and defunded the few that have been trying to tell the truth. And they have destroyed the publications that publish real science. They're going to take this issue into the courts and force the news reporting agencies to honestly convey what is happening. That's their intent. They're at children'shealthdefense.org. Well, that's quite a battle that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s taken on with this whole intimidation we have going on. And toward the end of this segment, I'd like to share this story, and it specifically has to do with Robert's condition, the of his voice, the dipsonia. This story goes clear back to 2002.
The miracle story.
Yeah, the miracle story. And I had a friend down in Overton, Nevada. That's about an hour's drive east of Las Vegas. He is a health store owner there in that little town, little community of about 5,000 people, I guess, right on the about 20 minutes north of the north shore of Lake Mead. Anyway, it's a little desert community, and he calls me one day and says, "Kevin, I need you to come down here and talk to a friend of mine. He owns the video rental store here in town, and I just can't answer his questions, and I just feel like he needs to hear what you have to say." Well, I go down there, and this gentleman has a condition very similar to what Robert Kennedy Jr. has. His is a little more involved. He actually completely loses his voice at a certain time in the day. It can only go so long. And he also has a drooping eyelid condition where by the end of the day, his eyelids, he can't hold them open any longer. Doesn't mean he's sleepy. It just, his eyelids just fall shut. And it's this failure of his system. Well, it'd be very difficult to get down and find the very root cause of that, because the body, it's so complex, and sickness and disease is so infinitely incomprehensible. It really is. This thing of pinpointing the single cause, that comes from viruses, parasites, kind of a thing. But really, so much of our sickness and disease is simply a failure of the body as a whole in so many ways, this lack of knowledge. So anyway, I start sharing with him a few stories because the guy really needs some help. And I was writing book 2 in our second Genesis Awakening series. I was about, 2/3 of the way through it. And I'd done a lot of my own personal walking with the medicine, I call it, where I'd done all this internal cleansing, expelling out all the liver rocks, the cholesterol rocks, getting the gallstones out of my gallbladder naturally instead of having my gallbladder removed. Anyway, he was fascinated by my own story. And that's basically what I stuck with, was my own story. And one meeting leads to another, and I say, look, I just don't have the money to keep doing this coming down. It was like a 2-hour drive from where I was at in southern Utah, near the national parks, Zion's National Park. And he said, well, can I call you? So we had these conversations for about 6 months, and he was taking all this encouragement, but at a certain point, he was just wanting the connection and the entertainment. And I said, look, I just can't do this anymore. I wish you the best of luck, but you haven't in 6 months even begun to change your diet. And I guess about 6 months later, he lost his home because he couldn't function at his business anymore. He lost the video rental business, and basically becoming homeless, he went in search of where's he going to live, and found himself in Ohio at a health place where he could work and be fed and housed. And over a certain period of time, and this is all unbeknownst to me, I don't know anything about what's really going on for him, but I get this call about 2 years later, and this voice starts talking to me like, he's a long-lost friend, like, yeah, I don't even know the guy, right? And he says, you don't even know who I am, do you? And I said, well, not really. And he says, well, I'm da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I go, you're kidding.
This is who you are. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, Adam T., well, Kevin, the conversations you had with me really did take hold. I found this health place. I've been eating raw and alive for 18 months, and those conditions in my voice and in my eyelids are completely gone. Well, I was just blown away.
I bet.
He didn't really have the protocol. He just followed a few of their instructions, didn't really do any of the liver cleansing or the kidney stone dissolving that he could do. He may have done some bowel cleansing, but the bottom line was he just went into an organic, plant-based diet, and
wow. The miracle.
Yeah, and here he was, back to a normal life again,
and the
eyes wide open all day long. So yeah, it truly is a miracle.
Well, and we are the cause and effect, so look at what happened for him.
Well,
when we take responsibility.
When we have the knowledge to...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we're in error. Well, I think that's going to be it for this segment in this 4-part series on Big Pharma buying off the January issue in 2019 of the National Geographic. I want to express gratitude to Deborah for
Thank you.
Being here and chirping in. Her insights and little comments really emphasize key points.
It's an honor and a privilege with you, Adam.
There you go again. Well, folks, until next week, this is Adam T. and family signing off. I hope you'll tune in to Dream Vision 7 Radio. The Human Accelerator plays on Tuesdays at 12 noon and 12 midnight Eastern Time.
Eastern Standard Time.
Well, we appreciate the time you've spent listening. We hope we've added some insights into your life.
Have a great day.